The moment Sophia Sterling pushed open the door to the private room, she overheard the conversation inside. A group of men were gathered, chattering about the devastating power of a first love. "Julian, it's your turn now. No more dodging the question." Sophia froze at the mention of his name. Suddenly, she desperately wanted to hear if she was the one Julian Fordham could never forget. Julian took a sip of his wine. After a long pause, he looked up, his eyes downcast. He idly flicked a lighter in his hand. "Every time Sophia and I are in bed together, my mind is filled with Chloe. I have a tattoo of a rose near my heart because Chloe kissed me there the first time we were together. I've never washed it away. I only married Sophia because her eyes resemble her sister's. Besides, it's embarrassing to be seen with a cripple. It was all just for fun anyway." Julian was using her as a substitute, as a stand-in for her own sister. The words were like a jagged knife, each one twisting into Sophia's heart, leaving her bleeding. Sophia's hand went limp and her coat fell to the floor. She turned and left the club. The rain was pouring down, fat drops splashing into puddles, creating endless ripples. Memories flooded back. Sophia was just 20 when she met Julian Fordham. He was a classmate of her sister, Chloe. That year, Chloe brought a group of friends home. Sophia, hiding in a corner to watch, accidentally tripped and fell. Julian helped her up, patiently asking, "Little one, does it hurt?" Under the sunlight, his eyes seemed to smile. Sophia cherished that single moment for years, and a young, tender love began to sprout in her heart. Later, there was an incident at a club. Julian got into a fight, his eyes red with fury. At the critical moment, Sophia threw herself in front of him, desperately shielding him. But her leg was stabbed in the chaos, leaving her with a permanent injury. To this day, she couldn't walk quickly. That was the day Julian pulled her into his arms, gently stroking her face. "You're such a fool. Were you ready to die for me?" Back then, Sophia had simply shaken her head and confessed the love she had hidden in her heart for so long. Later that night, a gentle Julian coaxed her into tasting the forbidden fruit for the first time, but his eyes were filled with a deep sadness. In the throes of passion, he had called out, "Cease. Cease, I know you like me, so let's give this a try." With bloodshot eyes, he had pressed a kiss to her injured leg. Sophia was overjoyed. For all these years, she had never felt self-conscious about the shocking scar on her leg. Even when everyone called her a fool, even when they mocked her for her limp, even when her assistant told her the injury could be treated. Sophia had considered physical therapy, but Julian told her he didn't care about such things. He would hold her, his eyes filled with pain for her. "Sophie, I love you no matter what. Physical therapy is too hard. It would break my heart to see you suffer." He pushed her wheelchair, introduced her to his friends, and told everyone he had married a little princess, his eyes always brimming with affection. On every rainy day, he would massage her aching leg with a hot compress. In the winter, he would cancel all his work to fly with her to a southern island, so the warm climate could soothe her leg. And today, Sophia finally learned that all of it, from beginning to end, had been a lie. "Damn, Jules, you really are something else. You just ended the whole game with that. I'm never playing this with you again. You're handsome, rich, and a romantic fool like that. Ah, I'm so jealous of Chloe." But didn't Chloe say back then that she already had someone she loved? I hear she's divorced now and is coming back soon. Do you think Sophia will lose her mind? I can just picture our little Sophia crying on your shoulder. A woman's tears are a man's aphrodisiac, you know. So, who are you going to choose? The room erupted with noise as everyone crowded around to tease him. Julian just smiled, not answering the question. He glanced at his watch. He simply said, "A divorce is out of the question. But I don't mind playing with both of them. Whoa, you're the man both sisters, damn, you know how to live." Julian waved his hand, seemingly done with the topic, and turned to leave. "Enough, my Sophie is making dinner for me. She'll start worrying soon." After what felt like an eternity, Sophia finally suppressed the grief in her heart and pulled out her phone to make a call. It was to a contact her assistant had found for her a few days ago, a specialist in leg injuries. He was said to be only in his 20s. When the call connected, a gentle voice answered. "Hello, how may I help you?" Sophia paused. "I'd like to book an appointment for leg rehabilitation. When are you available?" "Oh, are you in the country? I'm currently abroad for a research fellowship and will be back in about 3 months. Would that work for you?" "Yes, I can wait." She had waited for so many years, a little more time was nothing. She was such a fool, letting herself suffer physically for a man. Thankfully, it wasn't too late. She had to get back to being the healthy, whole person she once was. Just as she hung up, the sound of the front door opening echoed through the house. Julian stood in the doorway, his hair still dripping with water, as if he'd been caught in the rain. He looked irritated as he tossed his bag aside. His gaze fell on Sophia, who was playing on her phone in the living room, and he frowned. "Sophie, what are you doing? I called you, but you didn't pick up. It's raining, and I had to come home by myself." Sophia looked up, her face devoid of expression. She just gave a faint "oh." She knew. That's why she had rushed out of the house earlier, worried he would get caught in the rain and catch a cold. Only to overhear those words. If it weren't for today, she might have been kept in the dark for the rest of her life, played for a fool by everyone. Noticing Sophia's flat reaction, Julian realized his tone had been harsh and quickly changed his attitude. But as he turned, he saw the faint water stains on the women's shoes by the door. His heart tightened. "Sophia, did you go out looking for me just now? Did you go to the club?" "Yes, I was worried you'd get soaked, but then I worried your friends would gossip, so I came back," Sophia lied smoothly. She remembered a time when she'd gone to his office to pick him up in the rain, only to be scolded. He'd said her limp was unsightly, and he was afraid of what people would say. The memory sent a sharp pang through her heart. But later, to appease her, Julian had apologized profusely, and she had let it go. She was such a fool. How could someone who truly loved her ever be ashamed of her? Back then, she had been too blind to see it. Hearing her explanation, the worry in Julian's heart gradually subsided. Thank God she didn't go. Otherwise, he took a deep breath, a wave of inexplicable fear washing over him. He walked over and wrapped his arms around Sophia, completely missing the scornful smirk that flickered across her lips. "Why is our Sophie so unhappy today?" Julian murmured, planting a kiss on the corner of her lips as he always did. Sophia turned her head, avoiding his affection. Her mind was replaying the scene at the club, the words he had spoken. She couldn't trust him anymore. "By the way, Sophie, I think I heard you on the phone with someone when I came in." "What was that about?" Julian asked, raising an eyebrow as he looked at her. "It was nothing. Just my mom calling to check in," Sophia said, brushing it off as she headed to the bathroom. Julian nodded. "Right. It has been a while since your mother called." The sound of running water trickled from the bathroom. Julian stared at the door, lost in thought. Usually, whenever he came home late, Sophia would be worried, sending him a stream of messages. But today, there was nothing. Even the dinner she always had ready wasn't prepared. Why was she being so cold? Could she have found out the truth, or had she found someone new? With that thought, Julian pulled out his phone and messaged his friend. A moment later, his friend replied with a rolling eyes emoji. "Dude, Julian, someone new. Have you forgotten how obsessed your Sophie is with you? You remember that night at the club, right? She didn't even hesitate to stand in front of a knife for you. She loves you to death, man. You just have to crook your finger, and she'd give you her life. I'd sooner believe the world was about to explode than believe your little Sophia doesn't love you anymore." His friend's words seemed to clear Julian's head. That's right. How could Sophia ever bear to stop loving me? After all, she had once told him he was the most dazzling person she had ever met. Satisfied, Julian put his phone down. He turned his head and came face to face with Sophia. She had just stepped out of the bathroom, and the form-fitting robe perfectly outlined her alluring curves. The sight made Julian feel a flush of heat, and he unconsciously undid a button on his shirt. Even after all these years of marriage, he could still be captivated by her gentle beauty. He was so lost in his days that he didn't realize she had walked right up to him until her beautiful face was magnified before his eyes. The next second, he possessively pushed her down onto the sofa. "Sophie, we haven't seen each other all day. Miss me? He whispered, his voice low and slightly hoarse, his breath hot against her ear. The warm air tickled her neck, and Sophia instinctively tried to turn away, but Julian held her firmly beneath him. "Julian, you haven't showered." "Get off," Sophia said, her voice unexpectedly soft and breathless as she struggled against his feverish kisses. "It's fine." As their passion intensified, Sophia tore off Julian's shirt. There it was. In the corner of his left pectoral, a tattoo of a red rose. Against his sun-kissed skin, it was particularly jarring. "What does this mean?" Sophia asked, her throat dry as she looked up at him. She suddenly wanted to hear what he would say. Under the bright light, a strange look of adoration flickered in Julian's dark eyes. As he gazed at the rose, his expression was filled with incredible tenderness and longing. "It means I like it very much." "Ha, like it very much. Like Chloe very much?" Sophia nodded, her gaze shifting away from his chest. She got up and walked to the bedroom. "I'm a little tired today. Go take a shower. I'm going to sleep." Watching her retreat, Julian's lips curved into a smirk. His friend was right. She was just throwing a little tantrum, giving him the cold shoulder on purpose. A smug smile played on his lips. She's just mad and won't admit it. But his heart felt much lighter. He knew it. How could Sophia not love him? In the quiet of the night, Sophia listened to the steady rhythm of the man's breathing beside her, but sleep wouldn't come. The sour ache in her heart grew heavier and heavier until it felt like she couldn't breathe. The next morning, Julian woke up early, dressing with unusual care. He pulled a suit from the back of his closet, a style he hadn't worn in years. Hearing the noise, Sophia came out of the bedroom. She ran into Julian just as he was about to leave. He paused for a second. "Didn't you say you had nothing on today? Did something come up at work?" Julian didn't look at her. He seemed anxious, but his steps were light. "No, something came up at the office unexpectedly. I have to go in. Oh, and I probably won't be back tonight. They're sending me on a business trip." Sophia nodded without asking any more questions and turned back into the bedroom. On the pillow beside her bed lay a phone, but it wasn't the one Julian usually used. Suspicious, Sophia picked it up. A few messages on the screen caught her eye. "Cease, I heard you're coming back today. I'm wearing the suit from when we first met. Please wait for me to pick you up. Cease, I've already had someone book a hotel for you and buy your favorite roast chicken. Cease, I'm so happy just thinking about seeing you soon. Cease, did you know? There hasn't been a single day these past few years that I haven't thought of you. And now you're finally back. Cease." So all these years, when he was lost in passion, the name he was calling was Chloe's nickname. And all these years, she had been too foolish to notice. The screen was filled with green message bubbles. He was so eager, so unlike the Julian she knew. In all their years of marriage, she had never seen him like this. With her, he always seemed to maintain a certain distance, a condescending air as he ordered her around. This side of him was rare. So, his business trip was actually to pick up Chloe. And when he said he wouldn't be back tonight, did he mean he was going to spend the night with another woman at a hotel? Sophia let out a cold laugh, but her heart felt like it was being shattered. Her hands, hanging at her sides, clenched into fists. After a long moment, she put the phone back in its place with trembling hands. If he didn't love her, why should she torment herself? At that moment, a call came in. Sophia glanced at the flashing screen, calmly answered, and held the phone to her ear. Her mother, Eleanor Sterling's, eager voice came from the other end. "Hello, Sophie, it's Mom. What I'm about to say isn't pleasant, but I hope you'll consider it." "Okay, Mom, go ahead," Sophia replied. "I just want to ask, what's so good about being a man's supportive wife? Look at what you've let yourself become all these years. Now that your father's illegitimate daughter is back in the country, how much time do you think you have left? Please, I'm begging you. I'm not against you and Julian, and I would never force you to divorce him. But can you please come back to work at the company? Please." Everyone knew Sophia Sterling was a rare genius. At 10, she had already devoured countless books on economics. At 15, her father, Arthur, began grooming her to run the company. By 19, her business acumen had earned the respect of many. If it weren't for Julian, Sophia would have taken over the company long ago, becoming a titan of the business world. But now, the company was in Chloe's hands, and its performance was declining day by day. Not only that, but Chloe had used the company to mock and suppress her countless times, even laughing at her for having no ambition, for being willing to become a cripple for a man. But Chloe seemed to have forgotten something. Chloe was, and always would be, nothing more than her father's illegitimate daughter. If Sophia hadn't been unwilling to take over, how would the company have ever fallen into Chloe's hands? It was time to take back what was hers. On the phone, Sophia paused. "Mom, I'm willing to come back and take over the company. Just give me some time. I need to handle a few things first." A moment later, she added, "As for Julian, I will divorce him. All these years, you've had to endure so much, Mom." Hearing this, Eleanor Sterling wept with joy. "Good, that's my girl. I'll be waiting for you, my dear daughter." Sophia exchanged a few more pleasantries with her mother before hanging up. That night, Sophia received a few photos on her phone. When she opened them, her heart seized. When the message came through, Sophia paused, staring blankly for several seconds. Then she remembered it was Chloe's contact. Their father had made them exchange numbers years ago, but they rarely spoke, and she had never saved the name. Sophia calmly tapped to open the photos. The scene on the screen was piercingly clear. The background was a hotel room. The first thing she saw was Julian's peaceful, sleeping face. Where the blanket didn't cover him, on his neck, were several shocking scratches. From the angle of the photo, the reflection of another woman's figure was visible in the floor-to-ceiling window. Then came a few voice notes and a recording. Sophia played the recording. A sickly, sweet female voice echoed in the room. "Chloe, you've been married to her for so long, yet you still ran out to pick me up. Won't Sophie be upset? Julian, what does it matter if she's upset? She'll just have to endure it. All these years, you're the only one who's ever been in my heart. Do you know how ecstatic I was when I heard you were coming back? I could have jumped for joy." Chloe, "Then why did you marry her?" Julian, "Wasn't it because you married someone else and rejected me? I was so devastated that night, I got drunk, started a fight, and she took a knife for me. Later, I noticed her eyes looked a bit like yours, so I married her. I swear I haven't forgotten you for a single day. Every time she and I imagine it's your face." Sophia had heard words like this before, but hearing them again still felt like a fatal blow. It felt like something inside her chest had collapsed, suffocating her. "See, how many times have I told you? How could a man like Julian ever love someone like you? You're a cripple now, with no skills to speak of. Only a fool would like you. Save it, you'll never be better than me. Oh, by the way, did you know? The moment he saw me today, he couldn't wait to devour me. He took me so many times." Sophia silently saved the recording and didn't reply, staring blankly at the photo. The man who had once professed his undying love for her was now lost in another woman's bed, pleasing another. Crash! The water glass in Sophia's hand shattered. Shards of glass dug into her palm, and beads of blood welled up, a horrifying sight. The butler, Alfred, came running. "Ma'am, what happened? Your hand is bleeding so much. Quick, let me get that, ma'am." "I'm fine." Julian didn't come home for several days. Sophia didn't press him. She didn't care if he ever came back. She had her assistant, Alex, brief her on the company's operations over the past few years and was swamped with work. Until a call came from Julian. "Sophie, what are you doing? Have you missed me? By the way, my business trip is over. There's a party tonight. Want to come?" The man's deep voice purred from the other end. Sophia glanced at the divorce papers she had just drafted, a flicker of amusement in her eyes. She hadn't planned on going, but everything needed a conclusion. Why not sign the divorce papers today? Julian sent the time and location to Sophia's phone, then wrapped an arm around Chloe's neck and said gently, "I've invited Sophie, too. It's your birthday party, and no one should be absent, not even her. But tonight, I'm only yours." Chloe's lips curved upwards as she wrapped her arms around his neck for a kiss. "Okay, Julian." As night fell, Sophia set out with the divorce papers, a sense of impatience bubbling within her. She had never shown mercy to those who betrayed her. Sophia Sterling could only be Sophia Sterling, not a substitute for anyone. It was still early, so Sophia sat in her car, scrolling through her phone. In the distance, a man and a woman approached, their hands tightly clasped. Sophia recognized Julian. The other person was her illegitimate sister, Chloe. During the party, someone suddenly suggested a game. "All right, we're all adults here. Let's play something exciting. We'll each get a playing card. If two people draw the same card, they have to share a deep kiss for 5 minutes. How about it?" "Yes, sounds exciting." The room erupted in a chaotic cheer. "Okay, let's start. The first card is the Three of Hearts. Who are our two Three of Hearts?" Before the speaker could finish, Sophia saw Chloe stand up, coyly pulling the man beside her. She feigned embarrassment, but her face was alight with excitement. "It's me. Julian and I got the same card." At her words, all eyes turned to Sophia. Assuming she would object, everyone started trying to persuade her. "Sophie, we're all adults. Don't be so possessive. You're not the only married person here. Don't be a sore loser." Seeing her silence, Julian also came over to coax her. "It's just a game, Sophie. Don't overthink it." I'll make it up to you tomorrow, but to everyone's surprise, before Julian could finish, Sophia smiled. She didn't fly into a rage as they expected, nor did she hide in Julian's arms and cry. Instead, she was remarkably magnanimous. It's fine, it's just a game, everyone have fun. Then she turned to Julian. If someone draws my card, I'll do the same. I don't mind this sort of thing, so please, don't you mind either, Julian. Even though he had her permission, a sour, unwilling feeling crept into Julian's heart. You really don't mind? Julian remembered a time they played a game where he had simply held another woman's hand to dance. Sophia had been so jealous she had cried for days. Why was she agreeing so readily this time? Sophia met Julian's gaze, her expression nonchalant. Of course not. Because she no longer cared about him. She would no longer love him, even though she had once been willing to do anything for him. Julian wanted to ask more, but Chloe grabbed his wrist. She burrowed into his arms like a frightened deer, her eyes moist as she looked up at him and purred, "Jules, come on." Julian was easily swayed. His eyes darkened, and he possessively pulled Chloe into his arms, a hint of lust in his gaze. Under the dim lights, the two kissed passionately. The sound of their lips and tongues tangling was disturbingly clear even amidst the noisy room. By the end, Chloe was practically melting in Julian's arms, her face flushed as she playfully chided, "You're so bad." After the game, a few people started singing. Under the cover of the noise, Sophia handed the divorce papers from her bag to Julian. "The divorce papers. Sign them. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other." She kept her eyes down, not looking at him. The next second, she heard Julian's low chuckle. He was grinning foolishly at his phone, texting with Chloe. God knows what they were saying, but Julian was smiling like an idiot. "Julian," Sophia called out. "Huh, what is it, Sophie? Something wrong?" Julian snapped out of his daze as if waking from a dream. He said, "Oh," took the document, and signed his name without even looking at it. As he handed it back, he instructed, "From now on, just sign off on company matters like this yourself. No need to bother me with these little things." Sophia looked at the document he handed back, a cold smirk on her lips. Company matters? These were their divorce papers. Since he didn't care, she saw no reason to tell him. Once her leg was healed, she would leave completely, without a trace. From then on, they would go their separate ways. After getting the signed divorce papers, Sophia left the club without lingering. She had only come to get the papers signed. Now that it was done, she didn't need to put on a fake smile or pretend to be friendly. Before she could even start the car, a call came from Julian. "Hey, Sophia Sterling, what is wrong with you? You just said you didn't mind, and now you leave early. How do you think that makes Chloe look? If you don't come back, I don't see any point in continuing this. Let's get a divorce. I'd like to see who would ever want to marry a cripple." The word cripple was exceptionally harsh, making Sophia flinch. Julian's indignant voice echoed in the small car, as overbearing and final as always. Throughout their years together, whenever they had the slightest disagreement, Julian would threaten divorce to scare her. He knew, with absolute certainty, that she would never leave him. Sophia loved him so much, and he used that love as a weapon to control her. Time and time again, outside the car window, traffic flowed and pedestrians hurried by. Sophia found it laughable. She looked up at the sky. "Fine, I'll make way for you. Then you and Chloe won't have to keep sneaking around." She wasn't saying it out of anger. She was serious as she had been years ago when she'd told him, word for word, that she would marry him. The moment Sophia said it, the people in the private room back at the club exchanged glances, murmuring to each other. What the hell, didn't Julian say she was head over heels for him? What's going on now? Yeah, did his plan backfire? It's possible. Sophia's so smart, why would she be content as a housewife? And I think she's way more beautiful than Chloe Tusk. Hearing the whispers, Julian felt the ground shift beneath him. His already frantic heart lost its anchor, and he felt like he was floating, unsteadily on his feet. He had just been joking. He didn't actually want to divorce Sophia. But now that she had agreed, he was in a bind he couldn't back out of. After a moment, Julian cleared his throat, speaking as much to himself as to the others. "Sophie, I know you get jealous, but you went a little too far today. My attitude was bad, and I promise I won't joke like that again, okay?" He hung up immediately, not hearing Sophia's reply. "I wasn't joking." Then Julian smoothed his hair, wrapped an arm around Chloe, and announced to the room, "Sophie's just a little jealous." She's young, it's understandable. Let's keep drinking, we're not leaving until we're all drunk. Hearing his explanation, the crowd stopped their gossip. It was someone else's drama, they were just spectators. Whether the couple stayed together or split up, nobody really cared. For the rest of the birthday party, a hollow feeling gnawed at Julian. He couldn't shake the feeling that Sophia's words had been serious, that she hadn't been joking at all. For so many years, no matter what he did, Sophia had never once complained, let alone mentioned divorce. What did she mean by sneaking around? Could she know about him and Chloe? The more Julian thought about it, the more his panic grew. Finally, he stood up. It's getting late, maybe we should all call it a night. Chloe looked up at him, a confused expression on her face. Julian, didn't we say we were pulling an all-nighter? Why are you leaving so early? Hearing this, the others looked up as well. Yeah, Julian, I thought we were going all night. Julian hesitated for a moment before looking up, a troubled expression on his face. Honestly, I just can't stay up tonight. I'm not feeling well. Even though Chloe was unhappy, she tugged at his arm, her voice soft. Julian, so you're not staying with me tonight? Before she could finish, Julian pushed her away. You go back to the hotel by yourself. I'll make it up to you later. The others nodded in understanding. Without another word, Julian practically ran out of the room. He was in such a hurry that he nearly tripped on the stairs, but he stumbled and caught himself. For some reason, it was unusually difficult to get a ride tonight. By the time Julian got home, it was already 2 a.m. The living room lights were off. Julian tiptoed inside, pushed open the bedroom door, and saw Sophia lying peacefully in bed. A heavy weight finally lifted from his heart. In a daze, he thought he heard Sophia turn over. Sophie, he rushed over. You're still awake? Sophia hummed in response. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for today to happen. I just thought, since Chloe was finally back, I wanted to help you two get along. Your sisters, after all, right? Julian pulled back the covers and lay down beside her, his fingers tracing through her hair. When you said you agreed to the divorce, you were just bluffing, right? You were just jealous, weren't you? There was a hint of desperation in his last question. The bedroom was dark, so dark that Sophia couldn't see his expression, couldn't see into his heart. Isn't he tired? Rushing from placating one woman to placating another. When Sophia didn't respond, Julian grew even more frantic. He grabbed her hand and pressed it to his chest. I'll make it up to you, okay? You'll forgive me, right? Please, Sophia, I'll never do it again. I shouldn't have kissed her today. It was all my fault. We're really just friends, I swear. Please. So, can we not get a divorce? Just friends? What kind of friends end up in the same bed? Sophia pulled her hand away from Julian's. The words, "We've already signed the divorce papers," were stuck in her throat. She suddenly remembered what her assistant, Alex, had told her earlier that day. CEO Sterling, a portion of the Sterling Corporation's shares were given to Mr. Fordham as a birthday gift. It might be difficult to get them back. After a moment, Sophia lifted her beautiful eyes. All right, no divorce, but how are you going to make it up to me? Anything, I'll give you anything you want, as long as it's mine to give, Julian said, overjoyed. Anything? Sophia questioned. She couldn't understand it. She had never seen Julian so submissive, so meek. He rarely ever begged her like this. Even though he didn't love her, why did the mere mention of divorce make him so nervous? Anything you want, Julian said, kissing her. Seeing this, Sophia let out a soft laugh. She wrapped her arms around his neck, pretending to nestle into his embrace, putting on the coquettish and alluring look that men loved. She leaned close to his ear. I want your shares in the Sterling Corporation. Done. I'll have Sean draw up the transfer contract. You'll have it tomorrow. That night, the rain fell relentlessly, a constant patter against the window. Inside, the sounds of intimacy didn't cease until dawn. In the heat of the moment, Julian leaned close to her ear, his eyes bloodshot, and murmured, Sophie, please don't leave me. I want to have a child with you. I want to be with you forever. Sophie, I love you. Sophia let out a derisive snort. She didn't believe a single word. What if you're lying to me? If you lie, I'll leave you forever. The words, leave you forever, struck Julian like a hammer. The next second, he moved with more force, pulling her into an even tighter, more possessive embrace, like a child afraid of having his favorite toy snatched away. He repeated over and over again, no, she won't. Sophie won't leave me. Sophia let out a soft moan of pain. He bit her earlobe again, his hand moving possessively over her waist. I won't. I will never betray Sophia Sterling. I'll have a child with Sophie and we'll be together forever. Sophia smiled, a tear rolling down from the corner of her eye. They had already had a child. She had found out a few days ago. The baby was still so small. With a heavy heart, she'd had an abortion. She didn't want her child to have an incomplete love, nor did she want her child to have an irresponsible father. It was Julian who had single-handedly destroyed their child. The next day, Sophia received a message from the leg specialist. "Hello, is this Miss Sophia Sterling? You inquired about treatment about a half-month ago. I've thought about it, but our research fellowship has been delayed due to some issues. Would you be able to travel abroad? The treatment will take a year and cannot be interrupted, so you'll need to think it over carefully." "Yes, I can. I'll leave immediately." Sophia nodded. She glanced back at the sleeping Julian on the bed and left. Before she went, she placed a note on his pillow. "Something came up at home. I'm heading back for a bit. Don't forget to transfer the company's shares to me. Today, okay?" She didn't tell him the truth. She needed those shares. After settling everything, Sophia took a taxi to the airport alone. She didn't take a single thing with her. The house, the man, the mere thought of them now disgusted her. And soon, she would be a normal person again. Her leg would heal, and she would officially take over the entire company. When that happened, both Julian and Chloe would be nothing more than pathetic strays. Just before boarding the plane, Sophia received a message from Julian. "Don't worry, it's all done. I've had Sean transfer the contract to you. I also gave you half of my shares in the Fordham Corporation. After all we've been through as husband and wife, a bond like ours doesn't just disappear. We'll be together for a long, long time. What's mine is yours." Then came a voice message from Julian. "Sophie, tomorrow is our wedding anniversary. From now on, let's be good to each other and never fight again, okay? From this day forward, I will only love you." The future? They had no future. For all these years, she had been too stubborn. She had always believed that one day, Julian would truly fall in love with her. And what was the result? She was covered in scars, and he had never shown her a shred of pity. At 22, she was stabbed in the leg while saving him. At 23, she made him a CD of their memories, which he crushed under his foot. At 24, during Julian's birthday party, a fire broke out. He ran out with Chloe, accidentally locking Sophia inside the club. If the firefighters hadn't arrived in time, she would have been a corpse. She had seen all of his infidelities, but she never said a word. After tolerating it for so long, she finally understood. He simply didn't love her. Since that was the case, why should she continue to torment herself? After confirming the transfer was successful, Sophia sent an email to Julian. It contained her abortion records and the chat logs from Chloe. She wanted him to know that he was the one who had pushed her away, the one who had single-handedly destroyed their child. Then, without looking back, she boarded the plane. From now on, they would have nothing to do with each other. Whether he lived or died was no longer her concern. Meanwhile, Julian had just woken from a deep sleep. Seeing the empty space beside him, his heart sank. But when he saw the note the girl had left, a smile unconsciously tugged at his lips. At that moment, a call came from Chloe. On the phone, Chloe's voice was full of disbelief. "Julian Fordham, are you disgusting? Yesterday was my birthday and you spent it with a cripple. Didn't you say you never cared about her? And you kept saying you loved me, so why haven't you divorced Sophia yet? You promised to give me your shares as a birthday present. What happened to that?" Hearing the word cripple, an inexplicable anger flared in Julian. His voice turned cold. "Chloe, show some respect. Who are you calling a cripple? And let me tell you, you're not who you used to be either. You're divorced. The fact that I'm even willing to be with you is a favor. What we have can't see the light of day. If you dare to reveal any of this to Sophie, I won't show you any mercy." Chloe laughed coldly. "Fine, Julian Fordham. If that's how you want to be, then we don't have to be together." Hearing her words, Julian felt none of the sadness he would have expected. After last night, when Sophia had talked about divorce, he had been so terrified he felt like he was going to die. In that moment, he understood. The person he truly loved was Sophia. He admitted it. At first, he had only seen her as a substitute for Chloe. But the saying that love grows over time wasn't false. Loving someone could become a habit. The unattainable desire of his youth, perhaps he had once seen Chloe as his unreachable goddess, which was why he had felt such admiration. Now, he understood that it wasn't love. So he calmly accepted her ultimatum, no longer fawning over Chloe as he used to. Fine, Chloe. From now on, I'm going to live a good life with Sophie. If she were to leave me, I think I would go insane. After last night, I finally realized how much I love her. She's gone back to her family's home. I'll wait patiently for her to return. But Julian didn't know that it was already too late. He would never get Sophia back. The girl who had loved him so fiercely no longer existed in this world. And it was all because of his carelessness, his betrayal, his neglect. In the following days, Julian started learning all sorts of recipes. He remembered how Sophia used to cook for him, how every morning she would serve him a hot meal. Now he wanted to try cooking for her, and every day he would count on his fingers the number of days Sophia had been gone. Several times he wanted to message her, but he was afraid of disturbing her, so he never did. When you truly love someone, you are always cautious, afraid of disturbing them, even more afraid of disturbing the beautiful peace between you. Until one day, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days passed, an unknown number of days, Sophia still hadn't returned. Not a single call, not a single greeting. Only then did Julian become suspicious. He fumbled with his phone, typing and deleting, carefully choosing his words before finally hitting send. But his message was like a stone sinking into the ocean, creating not a single ripple. The next second, a glaring red exclamation mark appeared on the screen at the same time. The butler, Alfred, approached and handed him a folder containing the divorce papers and the abortion report. "Sir, Miss Sophia asked me to give this to you, abroad. Does it hurt here?" the doctor asked. Sophia shook her head. "No." "And here?" the doctor asked again. Sophia shook her head. "No." The evening sun streamed through the blinds, casting a golden glow on Dr. Leo Jennings's hair. A light, clear laugh was in his voice. "It's not a major issue. If you had treated it earlier, it would have been healed long ago. Why didn't you?" Leo found this woman increasingly interesting. So beautiful, yet she had been willing to live with a limp. The first time he saw her, he was stunned by her beauty. Sophia's voice was tinged with sadness. "I was in love with someone back then. This leg was injured for him. He said it would break his heart to see me suffer through physical therapy, so I never got it treated." She spoke each word clearly, with a frankness that was disarming. If you were to ask Sophia if she regretted it, she would say no. She never believed that loving someone with all your heart was something to be ashamed of. She had just loved the wrong person. Hearing this, Leo looked at her, and not wanting to stir up her sadness, he patted her shoulder reassuringly. "It's all right. Look forward. You'll meet someone good in the future. Don't worry, I'll make sure your leg heals completely." Julian stared at the red exclamation mark, and it felt as if something inside him had violently collapsed. "Sophia blocked me. How is that possible? How could she block me? She loves me so much." With trembling hands, Julian opened the folder. Inside were the divorce papers, signed with 3 neat words, Julian Fordham, his signature. The memory flooded back from the depths of his mind. With a thud, Julian collapsed to the floor, tears streaming uncontrollably down his face as a terrible premonition washed over him. The document Sophia had asked him to sign that night was the divorce papers, but he had been so busy texting Chloe that he hadn't even looked at it. She must have known everything. Why else would she have gotten rid of the baby? Their baby. Alfred ran out and saw his young master in such a state. "Sir, what's wrong? Why are you on the floor?" Julian looked up, his eyes bloodshot, shrouded in a boundless confusion and fear. "Where's Sophie? Alfred, you've seen Sophie, haven't you? She's not answering my calls." Alfred frowned, taking a moment to understand. "You mean Miss Sophia isn't answering your calls? That's impossible. Just yesterday, she asked me to pack up her things in her room and throw them away. I thought it was strange at the time, why she wanted to throw everything away, but you were sleeping, sir, so I didn't ask." Julian didn't hear anything else. He only heard, "She threw all her things away. She threw everything away. Is she not coming back?" In that instant, as if struck by a thought, Julian scrambled to his feet and stumbled towards Sophia's room. He ran so fast that he tripped and twisted his ankle, but he didn't have time to care. He limped into Sophia's room. After they got married, they had often slept in separate rooms. Julian still remembered the confused and hurt look in Sophia's eyes when he first suggested it. It was the first time he had seen her so heartbroken, the corners of her eyes red, a fragile, shattering beauty in her cool gaze. She had stood at the door of that room, looking up at him and asking, "Why? Why can't we sleep together if we're husband and wife?" But at the time, he had been full of impatience. "Sophia, aren't you being disgusting? I have my work. Besides clinging to a man all day, what else do you do? I come home so late from work every day. I don't have time for your nonsense. Sleeping separately is the safest for both of us." But that was a lie. He had just gotten married and wanted to be on the phone with Chloe all day, whispering secrets he didn't want Sophia to hear. He would never forget the look in her eyes as she turned away, filled with endless sadness and confusion. Julian stared at the empty room, stunned. Everything that belonged to Sophia was gone. Even the framed photo of them that had once hung by her bed had been cleared away. He ran over and pulled open a drawer. He remembered that drawer held all the little mementos of their years together. One year, for his birthday, Sophia had made a CD of their story and handed it to him. Unfortunately, he had been too preoccupied with a call from Chloe. His hand had accidentally knocked the CD, and it had fallen to the floor, where he had crushed it under his foot. Later, he found out that Sophia had spent a whole year slowly putting it together. Now, the shattered pieces of that CD lay quietly in the drawer. He didn't know if Alfred had forgotten to clear it out, or if Sophia had intentionally left it there, as if to mock the man he had become. Seeing his young master's heartbroken state, Alfred suddenly remembered. "Miss Sophia said something about sending you an email." With a flash of realization, Alfred patted Julian's shoulder. "Sir, don't cry just yet. I just remembered Miss Sophia said she sent you an email." Okay, I'll look right now." Julian hastily wiped his tears and opened his phone with trembling hands, only to find an empty inbox. The flicker of hope was extinguished, and fresh tears streamed down his face. After a moment, he finally remembered that he rarely read her emails and had set her address to go to his spam folder years ago. He quickly opened the spam folder, and sure enough, there was Sophia's email. He opened it, his hands shaking. Julian saw screenshots of his chat with Chloe from that night and another set of screenshots of Chloe's chat with Sophia. Besides those, there was a recording and a video. That night of debauchery with Chloe, the lie about a business trip. He had always thought he could get away with it, that he could have them both. He never expected that Sophia had known the truth all along. She just had never called him out on it. Scrolling down, Julian saw a long message. It was a photo of a handwritten letter from Sophia. The girl's elegant handwriting was familiar. Julian suddenly remembered how, when they first got married, she used to love leaving him little notes. Then, one day, in a fit of impatience, he had snapped at her. "How old are you? You're so melodramatic. Can you stop with all this nonsense? Do you think you're a kid? Where am I supposed to put all these notes? It's so annoying." But he had forgotten, or perhaps never heard, Sophia's quiet reply. "You once said you liked handwritten letters, that you thought they were romantic." Julian held the phone, reading the lines over and over, afraid to miss a single word. "Jules, hello, it's Sophia. It's been 10 years of marriage for us. When we first got together, people warned me, asking if giving you my all was worth it. I've thought about that question during countless sleepless nights, but I've never once regretted it. I loved you, perhaps in the same way you loved Chloe. Even after I found out about everything, I was willing to wait. I thought that love would blossom with time, and one day we would find our happy ending. But after all these years, I've realized I never once made it into your heart. That night at the club, I heard what you said. The rain was so heavy. I walked home alone on that long, rain-soaked street. I'm tired now. I don't want to fight anymore. Let's say goodbye to our future together. After all these years, I don't want to make things ugly. But if possible, I hope we never see each other again. This is the first and last time I will ever call you Jules." That's right, Julian remembered. Because Chloe called him Jules, he never allowed anyone else to. Once, when he had a high fever, he had deliriously called out Chloe's name in his sleep. Sophia hadn't gotten angry. She had just lowered her head, biting her lip, her face etched with pain. She had gently patted him, coaxing him to sleep, whispering Jules over and over. Later, when he woke up, she had braved a storm to buy him his favorite osmanthus cakes from across town, only for him to feed them to the neighbor's dog. He had slapped her. "If you ever call me Jules again, we're getting a divorce." For so many years, he knew it himself. He always used divorce as a weapon. He had hurt her time and time again. He couldn't count the number of times he had chosen others over her. The fire at the hotel where he'd saved Chloe and left Sophia locked inside. The New Year's Eve, he left a feverish Sophia at home to watch fireworks with Chloe on a mountaintop. He had always known that Sophia couldn't bear to divorce him, couldn't bear to leave him. He never imagined it would come to this. He collapsed on the floor, a bitter smile on his lips, his hair disheveled, a crazed look in his eyes. He couldn't understand how the person who had loved him so much had been lost by his own hand. He was the one who drove Sophia away. He was the one who killed their child. In the days that followed, Julian traveled alone to many, many places. He took their photo with him. He went to the banks of the Seine. He went to the summit of Mount Tegidos to watch the sunrise. He went to Mount Fuji to see the cherry blossoms. He went to the Arctic to see the aurora borealis. Clutching the photo, he dialed that familiar number countless times, only to be met with the same mechanical female voice, a response that numbed him again and again. "The number you have dialed is unavailable. Please try again later." His gaze pierced through time and space. Standing on the mountaintop, Julian looked through the thick fog. He saw the image of a girl leading a boy by the hand, climbing Mount Tegidos step by step. "Do you really have to climb this high? What's so great about a sunrise?" The young girl's eyes were full of tenderness. "I overheard you saying you wanted to see the sunrise from Tegidos, so I came with you." Even though her leg made it so difficult, the moment she heard him say it, Sophia hadn't hesitated. Standing on the summit, Sophia turned to look at the man beside her. She looked at him, while he looked at the rising sun, busy sharing the moment with someone else on his phone. The sunrise that year was beautiful, the most beautiful Julian had ever seen. But his first instinct was to send a picture to Chloe. He never saw the deep love in the eyes of the person beside him. He didn't know then that it would be the last time they would watch the sunrise from that mountain together. Julian reached out, his eyes filled with tears, desperate to grasp something. But the scene before him vanished. It was all too late. Too late. It was all too late. As time went on, life got busy. He always used work trips as an excuse to see Chloe, pushing Sophia away again and again. Julian compiled videos of all the places he had visited and sent them to Sophia. He got her new contact information from Alex and sent message after message, but received not a whisper in return. Sophia never replied, never showed a single ounce of concern for him. Not going to reply? Leo Jennings handed Sophia the day's physical therapy schedule, glancing at her with a teasing smile. "He messages you every day and you don't reply once? I didn't realize you were such a cold goddess." Sophia smiled. "No, I just don't want to. It's all in the past. Life has to move forward." "This is the last day of therapy, right?" Leo nodded. "Yes, I think you've recovered quite well. A full year and it's finally over. Congratulations." Over the years, Julian searched the entire country but found no trace of Sophia. Chloe also called him frequently. "Julian Fordham, do you think you're so great? You can love me when you want and leave me when you want." "On what grounds? I'm telling you, if I'm not happy, I won't let you be happy either. My power at the company has been completely stripped. I have no problem finding a way to destroy you." Chloe panicked as she looked at the message from her assistant. Her only option was to threaten Julian. Why had all her power been taken away in just 1 year? Why was Sophia, a good-for-nothing who did nothing but follow a man around, getting everything? Why was she a match for her? Why did the company and Julian both end up with her? But the facts were clear. Her assistant had warned her. Old Mr. Sterling isn't involved with the company anymore. Sophia has fired most of our people. The board of directors is on her side now. And she's accomplished all this without even setting foot in the office. I can't imagine what will happen when she comes back. A wicked smile crossed Chloe's face as a plan formed in her mind. Sophia loves Julian, right? Then she would drag Julian through the mud. She refused to believe Sophia wouldn't feel the pain the night Sophia returned to the country. The media exploded. Simultaneously, a video appeared on the central screen of South City, and within 20 minutes, it was a top trending topic. World-class CEO returns, marriage in turmoil, wealthy female president cheated on, stages high-profile revenge Sterling Corp shakeup. Marriage on the rocks. Her assistant, Alex, rushed over and whispered in Sophia's ear. On the big screen in the city center, "It's Mr. Fordham, that Julian Fordham, you should see it." Alex handed her phone to Sophia. The city's central commercial plaza was swarming with people. On the surrounding big screens, an explicit video of Chloe and Julian was playing on a loop, making anyone who watched it blush. Alex looked away, unable to continue. She knew Sophia hated Julian, but she also knew her boss would never do something like this. Out of the corner of her eye, Alex noticed Sophia's fists were clenched. She bit her lip and tried to offer some comfort. "We're on the plane right now, there's nothing we can do. We'll deal with it after we land." Sophia nodded, a strange emotion flashing in her eyes. She couldn't remember how long it had been since she had last seen his face. And now, she was seeing it like this. She would never forget the suffocating pain she felt the first time she saw that video. In the blink of an eye, so much time had passed. The moment she stepped off the plane, the airport was mobbed by reporters. "We hear your marriage to Fordham Corporation's president, Julian Fordham, has been unhappy for years. Is it true you've returned to get revenge on him? Did you orchestrate the city-wide broadcast of the video to vent your anger? Now that you're back at Sterling Corp, are you planning to take over all its resources? Will you be expanding abroad? Would you be willing to answer this question directly? Are you and Mr. Fordham still married? You've been missing for so long. Where have you been? And who has been running the company for you?" Sophia frowned, pushing her way through the crowd without answering a single question. She simply waved her hand and instructed her assistant. "Alex, spare no expense to suppress this story, and get the department to shut down the video in the city center, whatever it costs." Just as she left the airport, Sophia received a call from Chloe. A triumphant voice came from the other end. "I'm sure you've seen it. My welcome home gift to you, let the whole city see. Where do you think Julian Fordham will hide his face now?" Sophia's voice was low. "You posted this." "That's right. Surprised? Oh, I really didn't expect you to still care about Julian like this. He cheated on you, and you're still helping him. Give me back my shares in Sterling Corp. And I promise I'll never release this information again. Otherwise, I'm telling you, I'll do whatever it takes to ruin him, you know, right? Old Mr. Fordham never valued him. This time, he won't be able to recover. You love him so much. Can you bear to see that happen? Can you, Sophia Sterling? You're insane, Chloe," Sophia sighed. "Yes, I am insane. You're just a cripple. Why do you get so much? Why do you get both Julian and the company? I won't accept it." The Fordham residence. Julian knelt in the center of the living room, his back straight under the opulent chandelier. His father, Marcus Fordham, slapped him across the face. "I told you those Sterling daughters were trouble, that Sophia Sterling loved you so much, and you couldn't hold on to her. Now the whole city knows you cheated. Your video is playing for everyone to see. How can the Fordham family show its face? I really don't understand how the Fordham family produced a son like you." Julian's mother, Isabella, rushed to shield him, crying. "He's just young and proud. Who doesn't make mistakes when they're young? Don't hit him, please, don't hit him. He's been stubborn since he was a child." Before she could finish, Marcus picked up a nearby cane and brought it down hard on her back. "It's all your fault for spoiling him. Julian hadn't had an easy life. The only reason he had been allowed to take over the Fordham Corporation was because his mother resembled his father's unforgettable first love. As the years passed and his mother aged, the resemblance faded, and his father's affection and tolerance dwindled with it." Cracked. Another blow from the cane. "You wretch! I'm telling you, we still have a partnership with the Sterling Corporation. If you can't get Sophia Sterling to forgive you, then don't you dare come back." Julian moved to block his mother. In that moment, he gritted his teeth and said firmly, "Dad, do you think I don't want to find Sophia? I dream of it. I will handle my own affairs. You don't need to worry about it. If I can't handle it, I will leave the Fordham family myself. But I ask you to give my mother the respect she deserves. As long as I am in this family, I expect you to treat her as the mistress of the Fordham house." Marcus threw a phone at him, roaring, "Take the phone and get out. Go find Sophia Sterling. If she doesn't forgive you, don't you ever come back to this house. And you want to divorce her. Do you think you found something better? What is that illegitimate daughter, Chloe, anyway? Do you really think the Sterling Corporation will be handed over to a good-for-nothing like Chloe? Use your head." For the past few days, Julian's phone had been confiscated, so he had no idea Sophia was back. Now, as he turned it on, he saw the messages from his friends. In the videos, Sophia was poised and radiant. It had only been a year, but her eyes, which had once been so sad, now shone with hope. Her leg had been healed. As Julian walked, he noticed strange glances from people around him. The scandal had been so sensational that everyone recognized him and no one respected him. He was just a pathetic stray, a profligate son. The whole city knew he had cheated. Who would respect him now? In the past few days, all of Julian's friends had cut off contact. In his current situation, no one was willing to help him. Julian took the bus. He sat in a corner, the screen of his phone still displaying a photo of Sophia, her smile like a warm winter sun. He pulled up his sleeve, revealing several shocking scars on his wrist. Lately, he had been hurting himself, cutting his wrists. It was the only way to numb the pain in his heart. He remembered how, in his darkest moments, when he was hurt, Sophia would stand by his side without hesitation. Why not this time? He had even thought about suicide, telling himself it was all a dream, that none of it was real. He wanted to go back in time, back to when Sophia still loved him. A few older women nearby were gossiping. Tusk, I've never seen a man like that. So disgusting, God knows what he's into. And to have it all displayed on the big screen. If it were me, I'd just die. What's the point of living? Isn't he supposed to be some rich young master? Why is he taking the bus? Maybe he sold himself to get that title. I need to warn my son to stay away from people like that. Julian felt like he was sitting on pins and needles. He pulled the hood of his hoodie lower and leaned against the window, pretending to sleep. When he got off the bus, he found that someone had thrown a few bags of trash on him. Grease stains spread across his white hoodie, glaringly obvious. He sighed and walked off the bus, dejected. He was stopped outside the Sterling Corporation building. Who are you? Why do you want to see our CEO? Do you have an appointment? Julian hesitated, unable to bring himself to say his name. He remembered how, whenever he used to visit, the junior staff would all greet him as Mr. Fordham, showing him the utmost respect. Now, only a year had passed. The receptionists had all been replaced. There was no longer any connection between him and her. As he stood there, head bowed in a daze, he saw a familiar figure emerge from the building. Sophia walked past him, their shoulders nearly brushing. After a moment, Julian swallowed the tears in his throat, ran forward and pulled her into his arms. Sophie, I've been looking for you everywhere. Sophia, taken aback, looked down and saw Julian's bloodshot eyes. It had been so long. Her breath hitched. Seeing the man who had once dazzled her entire youth, the man who had deceived her for so long. A complex mix of emotions flickered in Sophia's eyes, but she slowly pushed him away. Julian was no longer the dashing man he once was. In just 1 year, he seemed to have aged, looking haggard and worn. What is it? If you have something to discuss, we can find time to talk. I'm working right now. Julian held her tighter, a reddish hue rimming his eyes. Sophie, forgive me, please. Let's go home. I've missed you so much all this time. He was holding her too tightly, and Sophia struggled uncomfortably. After a moment, she glanced at the heavy clouds outside, a faint, unreadable expression on her lips. She turned and took his hand. Let's go. We can talk inside. Then she said to her assistant, Alex, you can go to the dinner meeting in my place. There's something I need to take care of. It's been put off for too long, and I think it's time to make things clear. Sophia poured a glass of water and sat down across from Julian. After so much time, her heart was calm and composed. She no longer hated him, nor did she love him. But she was puzzled. Julian and Chloe had been so in love. Why had they fallen out the moment she left? Weren't they supposed to live happily ever after? After all, she was no longer in the picture. She swallowed her questions. After a moment, she looked up and spoke first. I didn't release that video. Julian looked up, but there was no surprise in his eyes. I know. You wouldn't do something like that. A strange feeling flickered in Julian's heart. He almost wished she had released the video out of revenge. At least then he wouldn't feel so guilty for betraying her. Sophia nodded and played the recording of Chloe's call, pushing the phone towards him. She said, word for word, I loved you and I hated you, but I believe people have to move forward. I don't hate you anymore, and I would never do anything to hurt you like this. Chloe is using you to threaten me. I wanted to ask your opinion. If you want to take her to court now, I will help you. Sophia paused. If you can't bear to do it, then just pretend I never said anything. After all, distributing private photos and threatening someone will have consequences. After a long silence, Julian looked up, his eyes bloodshot, having finally composed himself. Why are you helping me? He grabbed her hand. You still love me, don't you? In that instant, Julian was willing to bet all his luck on hearing Sophia say, I still love you. The seconds ticked by. He heard nothing of the sort, only a long overdue apology. I'm sorry, Sophia said, pulling her hand away from his. She smiled, as if in a business negotiation, her eyes clear and calm. We're already divorced. Everything that happened is in the past. We can't go back. We can't go back. We can't go back. We can't go back. The words struck Julian like a thunderclap, plunging him into an abyss. He felt like he couldn't breathe, as if he were being held deep underwater. Then, he heard her clear voice again. I hope you can move on from the past. This whole farce was probably a mistake from the beginning. No, it wasn't a mistake, it was me who didn't see my own heart clearly. I've always liked you, it's just, Sophie, back then, Julian's voice was hoarse as he desperately searched her eyes for any trace of love. But there was none. Nothing at all. She didn't love him anymore. Not even a little. After crying for what felt like an eternity, Julian saw a hand extend a tissue to him. He gave a bitter smile. Sophia was still the same as before, gentle and polite. Even though she no longer loved him, even though she wanted nothing more to do with him, she would still offer him a tissue, showing him basic respect. That was just the kind of person she was, so good. And yet, he had lost her. Don't worry. What happened between us won't affect the partnership between the Fordham and Sterling corporations. I've been keeping an eye on Fordham's affairs. If you ever find yourself with nowhere to turn, the doors of Sterling Corp. will be open to you. But only for work, of course. With that, Sophia stood up and placed her new phone number on the table beside him. Use this number from now on. It's my work number. Outside of work, it's best we keep our contact to a minimum. All those messages I sent you over the years, did you ever see them? Julian asked, grabbing her wrist. Sophia glanced at her phone, at the 16:08 missed calls. She fell silent. She hadn't wanted to answer. She didn't want to go back to the past, didn't want to throw away all her progress. For years, she had spent countless nights wondering why Julian didn't love her, why he had married her if he didn't. She had even thought that if she just gave it enough time, he would eventually be moved. But betrayal after betrayal, Julian had always chosen someone else in a crisis, sacrificing her without a second thought. The champagne tower at the birthday party 2 years ago to protect Chloe, he had shoved her into a pile of shattered glass. That was when Sophia had truly asked herself if Julian loved her. After all, she could have bled to death. It had taken all her courage to leave him. Why was he coming back to find her now? Sophia answered honestly, no, the past was too painful. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to stop myself from going back to you. I don't want to be that person again. During the year she was away, Sophia had been in a constant state of conflict. It was the scars on her body that served as a constant reminder. He, Julian Fordham, does not love me. Leo Jennings walked in from outside and saw Sophia's expression, a little surprised. What's wrong now, Miss Sterling? I came back to the country just to give you a follow-up checkup, and the first thing I see is this tragic face. He glanced into the office and saw Julian kneeling on the floor. He quickly looked away and waved his hand tactfully. All right then, I'll come back another day. You seem busy. Sophia shook her head. No need, it's nothing important. Let's do it today. The two of them left, talking and laughing. Julian couldn't hear what Leo was saying, but he saw him lean close to Sophia's ear, then smile as he draped his own coat over her shoulders. Julian watched them leave, his fingernails digging into his palms, the faint taste of blood on his lips. As a man, he could see it clearly. The way Leo looked at Sophia was anything but innocent. It was a look overflowing with affection. Julian suddenly understood. Perhaps, all these years, he was the only one who had been standing still. She had already moved on, far, far away. He clenched his fists, hating himself for his past obsession. He would take Chloe to court. Without the bond of Chloe between them, Sophia would surely forgive him after all this time. He couldn't believe Chloe would dare to threaten Sophia with those hotel photos. How could he have ever fallen in love with someone like Chloe? Julian sought Sophia's help, and together they brought Chloe to court. In the courtroom, Chloe was as arrogant as ever. Sophia Sterling, are you some kind of masochist? You're suing me, your own sister, all because of Julian Fordham. He used to call you a cripple, said you were useless. Why are you suddenly on his side now, ganging up on me? Who's to say you're not lying? Do you have any proof? Julian gently tugged on Sophia's sleeve. Sophie, that was all in the past. I don't love her anymore, not at all. Can you believe me? Sophia remained silent, simply pulling up the surveillance footage she had obtained on her phone. Her voice was firm and clear. This is corroborating evidence. There were also witnesses at the time. This is our proof. Chloe was stunned. After a moment, she finally looked up and shouted, Sophia Sterling, no matter what, I'm Dad's daughter. He won't let you destroy me, he won't. Besides, on what grounds are you placing justice above family? Are you a fool siding with an outsider? Before she could finish, their father, Arthur Sterling, entered from the back of the courtroom with a cane, his voice stern. Shut up, the Sterling family has no daughter like you from now on. Don't you dare call me Dad. Before the law, there are no relatives. Ever since she was a child, her father had taught her to respect others, to obey the law, and to be honest. Arthur Sterling despised those who were dishonest and had no principles. Sophia had always known this. Chloe had brought this upon herself. Julian pursed his lips, a wave of emotion washing over him as he watched Sophia's determined expression. After the proceedings ended, Sophia patted the person next to her. Seeing Julian still lost in a daze, she prompted him. It's time to go. You can rest easy now. Julian snapped out of his trance, stammering a few thank yous before following behind Sophia. He spoke with some difficulty. Could you lend me a place to stay for a while? My father has cut off my cards. I'll have Alex arrange a place for you. You can go there first. Sophia took a call and hurried away. She didn't look back at Julian once. The car sped off, leaving Julian standing there in a cloud of dust. He faintly heard Sophia's gentle voice on the phone. What's wrong, Leo? Leo Jennings again. In just a few short days, Julian had heard that name from Sophia's lips countless times. Are they really together? Julian stood frozen, his hands tightly gripping the fabric of his sleeves. He couldn't believe it, and he didn't dare to. On Christmas Day, Julian went to find Sophia with a gift. Hello, a gift? Sophia was a bit hesitant when she answered the phone. She glanced at the name on the screen and laughed. We were together for so many years, and I never got a single gift from you. Why the sudden change of heart this year? Her voice held a light, teasing tone with no trace of blame or sadness. Hearing this, a pang of bitterness shot through Julian's heart. It was true. He had neglected her so much in the past. When they were together, he had always made sure to send Chloe gifts for every holiday and special occasion. But he had always forgotten to prepare something for Sophia. He had ignored her far too many times. Even the gifts Sophia gave him, he had never treasured. They were either tossed aside or lost. Thinking of this, Julian pursed his lips. Hearing the noise in the background, he couldn't help but ask, but this time, I want to give it to you in person. Is that convenient? Where are you? I can come to you. After a moment, Julian heard Sophia's clear voice, polite yet distant. No need, just give it to Alex, he can hold on to it for me. I'm busy right now, it's not a good time. Thank you, and Merry Christmas to you too. She hung up. Leo Jennings looked up at Sophia. Is something wrong? We can do this another day if you need to. I was just bored being alone in the city, so I asked you out to dinner. If you, before he could finish, Sophia interrupted, it's fine, I'm hungry too. She accepted the peeled crab meat Leo handed her. I saw you got a manicure, so I figured it would be inconvenient, Leo explained. A warm feeling spread through Sophia's heart. She didn't refuse, taking the small bowl. Thank you. This is the first time someone has peeled crab for me. Although Sophia grew up in a prominent family like the Sterlings, genuine sincerity was rare in the world of fame and fortune. After her last marriage, Sophia was afraid to give her heart away so easily. So, even though she was aware of her growing feelings for Leo, she didn't dare to show it. She was afraid. After a moment, Leo pulled a scarf out of a bag beside him and handed it to her. It was a knitted red scarf that complemented her skin tone beautifully. A faint blush appeared on Leo's face as he stammered. I don't mean anything by it. I just. Sophia chuckled and took it, wrapping it around her neck. Her eyes held a gentle glint. How did you know I needed a scarf? I know, you just knitted it with nowhere to go and no one to give it to, so you gave it to me. No other meaning. She emphasized the last part with a raised eyebrow, her tone playful. Leo's ears turned a faint red. Right, that's it. Seeing his shy expression, Sophia stopped teasing him. Your skills and abilities are excellent. I'm giving you this hospital. It's a small private hospital, but you'll have to manage it yourself. Sophia had been planning this gift for a long time. In the time they had spent together, Leo had healed the scars on her heart time and time again. If it weren't for him, she didn't know how she would have gotten through those dark days. Her leg had been injured for one man, but healed by another. Perhaps fate was always this ironic. She should thank Leo for helping her find closure. Leo was stunned. "Such a large hospital for me?" Sophia nodded, her expression sincere. "Yes, it's not that expensive. Thank you for healing my leg." Julian left the company building alone, a hollow feeling in his chest. The sky had already darkened, and the air was filled with the aroma of dinner. Lights were turning on in the residential buildings across the street. His phone rang. It took him a moment to dazedly answer it. It was his mother's frantic voice. "Julian, don't come home for a while. Because of what happened, the company's stock has been plummeting. Your father is threatening to kill you. You need to lay low." The phone slipped from his hand and crashed to the ground, shattering. That call was the final straw. Now he had a broken family, no one to love him, no money, no love. He had nothing. His father, to save face, had stripped him of his position. The once famous CEO Fordham was now a shell of his former self. Julian didn't pick up the phone. From the shattered screen, he could still hear his mother's frantic voice, trying desperately to protect her son. Julian numbly stepped over the phone and walked away. He took out the few $100s he had in his pocket and walked into a nearby shop. In a daze, he saw Sophia and Leo. He was sitting across from her, the two of them talking and laughing. A flicker of loneliness crossed his eyes, but as he was about to turn away, he saw the Christmas tree next to them begin to topple over. In a flash, it all happened. Julian ran with all his might. The moment the Christmas tree fell, he threw himself in front of Sophia, shielding her with his body. In that instant, he also saw Leo, who had thrown himself behind her, ready to protect her with his own life. She would now risk her life to protect another man. A faint smile touched Julian's lips as he collapsed beside Sophia. Only then did the other two react. No one knew how the Christmas tree had fallen. Sophia reached out and pulled Julian into her arms, confused. "What happened between us is in the past. Is it really worth risking your life to protect me?" Although the tree wasn't real, its core was made of solid material for stability. A fall like that could be fatal. A bitter smile formed on Julian's lips. His hand was cut by something, and blood trickled from the wound. He raised his hand, wanting to touch Sophia's face, and forced out two words through his teeth. "Worth it." He owed her this. Julian couldn't remember how he had run over, or how he had thrown himself in front of her without a second thought. In that moment, he had only one thought. "This time, I can't let her get hurt." Julian pursed his lips. "This time, I wanted to protect you." Leo knelt and checked his injuries, then quickly called for an ambulance. Julian was unconscious for 2 full days. Sophia stayed by his bedside the entire time. When he finally woke up, it was noon on the second day. The sun was bright, and Sophia was sleeping soundly, her head resting on the side of his bed. Memories seemed to travel through time, and he felt as if he had returned to the early days of their love. Once, when he had a high fever, she had watched over him just like this, so worried that she hadn't slept for days. Only 2 years had passed, but it felt like a lifetime. He reached out to touch her face, but just as his hand drew near, Sophia's eyes fluttered open. Julian awkwardly pulled his hand back. He searched for a topic. "Have you been here the whole time?" "Yes. You were injured because of me, so of course I have to take care of you." For the first time in days, Julian finally had a chance to talk to her. In a rush, he poured out everything in his heart. "I'm sorry, Sophie. I admit that when we first got married, it was because you looked like Chloe. But later, I realized that I love you. Since you left, I haven't had any contact with Chloe. So can you forgive me?" There was no hysterical outburst as he had imagined. Sophia didn't blame him, nor did she give him the cold shoulder out of jealousy like she used to. She was so gentle, a gentle distance. Sophia smiled and gently pushed him away. "We're just ordinary friends now. You don't have to tell me these things," she said reassuringly. "Friends? She only sees him as a friend now? Is that all?" Julian let out a bitter laugh, a sharp pain twisting in his heart. Seeing Sophia's indifferent expression, he felt as if something inside him was collapsing. After a moment, he managed to force out, "Sophie, is there really no chance for us? I don't believe it. You loved me so much. How could you just stop loving me in 2 short years? These past 2 years, I've missed you so much. Sophia stood up and paused. I'll get you something to eat. Since you're sick, you should rest. Don't think about these things anymore. We will never have a chance again. With that, Sophia left, leaving only her long, lonely shadow behind. The words, "we will never have a chance again," seemed to echo in the small hospital room, untouchable and elusive. Julian sighed. Perhaps he had truly brought all of this upon himself. In the following days, Sophia took meticulous care of him. Every time she brought him a meal, Julian would feel a momentary daze, as if time had rewound. He wished this time could last a little longer. He wished he could be with her again. Every time he saw her with Leo, he envied Leo so much. At least Sophia still spoke to him with such warmth, not with the distant politeness she showed him. But in reality, the person he envied most was the man he used to be. The day Julian was discharged from the hospital, Sophia came to see him off. She handed him a contract and smiled. No matter what, thank you. From now on, I will personally oversee our partnership with Fordham Corp. You can rest assured about that. Julian nodded, leaning against the car window and watching the scenery fly by like a changing lantern. Times had changed. It was almost New Year's again this year. She wouldn't be with him. She wouldn't set off fireworks with him, eat dumplings with him, or none of it was possible anymore. Julian raised a hand to shield his eyes, surreptitiously wiping away a tear. The car stopped in front of the Fordham Corporation building. Sophia turned back. We're here, you can get out. Oh, and since it's almost New Year's, Happy New Year in advance. She handed him a box of cookies. I baked them myself. Julian accepted them with a smile, his gaze lingering on the box. In the past, Sophia hadn't been a great baker, and he had been the one to eat all her failed attempts. Now, her baking looked perfect, but it was no longer for him. Julian waved, closed the car door, and turned away. The moment he did, tears streamed down his face, soaking his collar. He quickly ran into the villa. The wind was strong today, the late winter air biting cold. The lights in the villa were on. His mother sat to one side, her silhouette blurred by tears. Seeing Julian return, she tried to push him out. What are you doing back here? Your father will kill you. Leave, quickly. Mom, Julian called out. His mother didn't hear him and continued to push. Mom, where can I go? Julian shouted. Go to Sophia. Why would she take him in? Wander the streets. He had nowhere else to go. Was he not even allowed to return to his own home? His mother froze for a moment, then hugged him and sat down on the sofa, crying out, What a curse, I should have never come here. Julian wearily pushed his mother away and went upstairs. If father wants to hit me, let him hit me. If he wants to yell, let him yell. I have nowhere else to go. You gave me this life, so if you want to take it back, then take it back. I'm a man, how can I let a woman protect me all the time? In the days that followed, his father cut off all financial support. Living in the lavish mansion, Julian was nothing more than an empty shell, a parasite. The butler, Alfred, felt sorry for him and would occasionally bring him some food. The other servants, taking their cues from the master of the house, no longer showed Julian the respect they once had. One day, after his usual dinner, Julian walked to the window and looked down from the high rise. It was almost New Year's, and the festive atmosphere was enviable. He opened his phone and idly scrolled. He opened Sophia's social media feed. It was empty, just a single horizontal line. She had blocked him. He couldn't see her feed. His hand kept scrolling, and then in the distance, a firework exploded, bright and brilliant. Looking closer, he saw it was directly above the city center, a massive drone proposal. A bitter smile crossed his lips. How romantic. So romantic it made his eyes burn with envy. How happy they must be. Opening his phone, Julian saw a news story that had once again gone viral. Sterling Corp CEO receives high-profile proposal, citywide fireworks, drones spell out a romantic message, the happy president's wife. A permanent fixture in a fairy tale, he opened the comments on the post. They were all filled with envy. OMG, I was in the city center today, I saw it. It was so beautiful in person, I'm crying. Wishing for a rich boyfriend, wishing for a boyfriend who loves me, wishing I was as rich as CEO Sterling and had a happy marriage. Why do you all have such rich boyfriends? It's not fair, sobbing, I'm so envious. I hear the CEO of Sterling Corp is really handsome. Julian's finger froze as he scrolled. His breath caught, and a sudden emptiness consumed him. His soul felt like it was being devoured, and he swayed, collapsing beside his bed. CEO of Sterling Corp? In all of South City, there was only one CEO of Sterling Corp, Sophia. At midnight, Sophia's social media account was updated. The caption read, "I hope the rest of my life is with you." With a trembling hand, Julian played the video. It showed the story of how Sophia and Leo Jennings met and fell in love. He finally saw that in the places he couldn't see, he had long been derailed from her life. Julian was only just beginning to understand how much Sophia had once loved him. After leaving him, she had fallen into a deep depression. It was Leo who had walked with her through that darkness. On days like this, there were always people who loved to stir up trouble. Amidst the flood of congratulations, someone had dug up Julian and Sophia's past. "Wow, I can't believe it. CEO Sterling is beautiful and rich, and she was treated like a doormat. Do you think that Julian Fordham is regretting it all now? Damn, this story has such a sense of destiny. Isn't this a classic case of groveling after he's lost her, but it's too late? I really don't get it. That Julian Fordham must have lost his mind. He's probably at home, drowning in regret." Julian read the comments, one after another, a bitter smile on his lips. Yes, he did regret it, so much. He regretted betraying her, and he regretted that in all their time together, she had never remembered his good side. But it was all too late. He could never go back. Leo Jennings took Sophia's hand. They walked together down the long street. The streetlights stretched their shadows long behind them. It had just snowed, and the ground was a bit slippery. The girl was bundled up so tightly by Leo that she looked like a little penguin waddling in the snow. Sophia pouted and looked back. "I can barely walk. Look at you, you've made me so puffy, I don't look good anymore." The old Sophia never complained, never whined about pain, because no one cared, but now she had Leo. Leo affectionately stroked her head. "What do you mean not good? You look beautiful. My Ning Ning is the most beautiful. This new year, I want to take you home. My mom wants to meet you." A blush crept up Sophia's cheeks. She nervously picked at the corner of Leo's coat. What if your mom doesn't like me? What if, in her distraction, her foot slipped? Sophia fell into Leo's arms. He scooped her up, a laugh in his throat. He gently booped her nose. "If my mom doesn't like you, we'll elope. If you can't run, I'll carry you just like this." Crunch, crunch, a line of footprints in the snow stretched on to the end of time, to eternity. 3 years later, Chloe was released from prison. The first thing she did was kidnap Sophia. She wanted revenge. Why should Sophia be out here enjoying such a good life, while she had suffered so much? If it weren't for her, she wouldn't be in this position. The first thing she did upon her release was to take Sophia. Just before leaving work, Leo received a call. "Hello, is this Mr. Leo Jennings? Miss Sophia Sterling asked me to tell you to go to this location." Leo was confused. Wasn't Sophia working late today? Still, he nodded. "All right, I'm on my way. Please let her know." Leo followed the location on his phone and found himself at an abandoned factory. The damp air was suffocating. Leo cautiously walked inside and saw Chloe. Before he could react, he was tied up. Well. I hear Leo Jennings set off fireworks across the city to propose to you. He must love you to death, right? So if I use you to lure him here, do you think he'll come? Why are you so lucky? Why does everyone love you so much? Why?" Chloe laughed maniacally. Fresh from prison, her face was marred by several shocking scars, a horrifying sight. Sophia took a deep breath, holding back tears. "If you have a problem, take it out on me. Kill me. Leo is selfish. He won't come to save me." Sophia appeared calm, but she was terrified, so afraid, even more afraid that Leo would do something foolish for her. They had only just gotten together. He had such a long life ahead of him. If one of them had to die, she would rather it be her. A person like him didn't deserve. Chloe let out a wicked laugh. "I don't think so. You stole Julian from me. Today, I'm going to make you feel the pain of losing your beloved. Today, I'm going to kill Leo Jennings." The setting sun cast its light on the abandoned factory. The line between light and shadow cut through the space between them, sharp and clear. Leo stood at the other end, panting. "Let her go. If you have a problem, take it out on me." "Oh, you will? Fine, then you die." For a moment, the air was still. The next second, Sophia heard Leo say, word for word, "Fine, then let her go." Chloe nodded and tossed him a dagger. "I want you to do it yourself. Don't worry, I won't touch her. I want her to watch you die with her own eyes." "No, I don't want you to die, Leo. This is between us. It has nothing to do with you. Go. Quickly, you don't need to save me, Sophia screamed with all her might. Leo smiled, a gentle smile. Without hesitation, he plunged the dagger straight into his left chest. In the last second before his consciousness faded, his face was filled with pure happiness. Sophie, live for me. As the words left his lips, Leo coughed up a mouthful of blood and collapsed. The blade had struck a vital part of Leo's heart. Perfectly, fatally, he had lost too much blood. The doctor came out of the operating room, his face grim. I'm sorry. The blade hit a critical part of his heart. We might what? Sophia choked out. We might not be able to save him unless we can find a compatible heart. The moment the words were out, Sophia grabbed the doctor's hand. You can use mine, I'll save him. Can I save him? The doctor shook his head. Your blood types don't match, it's not possible. The light in Sophia's eyes died. She stared down the long hospital corridor and collapsed to the floor. A person couldn't live without a heart. Who would be willing to give their heart to save Leo? Who would be willing? I'll try, our blood types are the same. Sophia looked down the corridor and saw a man. After a moment, she recognized him. It was Julian Fordham. I owe you this, Sophie. I couldn't be with you in the past. Let him be with you in my place in the future. Julian gave a faint smile and followed the doctor away. Sophia was left standing alone in a daze. Julian's life had not been easy. His mother had been driven mad by his father. He had been confined to the villa by his father, with no freedom, constantly scrolling through his phone, his body covered in bruises. His father had found another woman, a 40-year-old. He was tired of the constant scheming, tired of living at the mercy of others. Lying on the cold operating table, the clinking of medical instruments echoing in his ears, Julian's past flashed before his eyes like a revolving lantern. He remembered their first meeting, how he had noticed the shy girl hiding in the corner, and how she had run away in embarrassment. Lately, Julian had been dreaming a lot. But when he woke, he was always faced with the silent, endless night. Those days and nights were so long. Julian often thought about the past. What if he had never cheated? What if he had loved her with all his heart? Would they have had a future? Would they have had a child by now? Would the child have been more like Sophie or more like him? But in the end, their encounter was like a dream, a reflection of the moon on water. When the dream ended, Sophia was gone. Only Julian was left behind, wandering in circles but never seeing her again. In the last second before his consciousness faded, Julian whispered in his heart, I'm sorry, Sophia Sterling. And I really did love you too. The surgery was a success. When Leo woke up, it was the third day. He had slept for 2 days and 2 nights. During that time, Sophia had traveled to many places. She had commissioned a beautiful coffin for Julian and bought him a tombstone. She thought for a long time about what to write. Dashing and handsome, so she hired a calligrapher and had them carefully inscribe on Julian's tombstone, to the dashing and handsome Julian Fordham. When Sophia returned, Leo had just woken up. He was leaning against the bed, idly scrolling through his phone. Seeing Sophia enter, a light flickered in his eyes and he pretended to be hurt. Where did you go? I couldn't find you when I woke up. Sophia patted his leg. Stop being dramatic. How are you feeling? Any better? Leo opened his arms, trying to lighten the mood. I was so scared. I almost didn't get to see my wife again. Sob, thank goodness I'm so lucky. Sophia paused. Leo, there's something I think I need to tell you. Actually, your heart, you lost so much blood. It was like snatching you from the jaws of death. You almost didn't wake up. But Julian saved you. His blood type matched yours. He gave you his heart. If it weren't for him, you wouldn't have woken up. After a moment, Sophia looked up and said slowly, So I want to donate to impoverished mountain regions every year in Julian's name to accumulate good karma for him. Leo pulled her into a tight embrace and smiled gently. Of course. 10 years later, at Julian's grave, a little girl's head bobbed up and down. Mommy, who was he to us? Why do we bring him flowers every year? Sophia pinched the little girl's nose. You little rascal. He was the one who saved Daddy's life. A lifesaver is a good person. Was the uncle handsome? Very handsome. The uncle was very good looking and very kind. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't be here now. Do you want to say thank you to the uncle? Okay, Candy wants to say thank you to the uncle. The little girl knelt on the ground and bowed her head like an adult, her voice sweet and childlike. Thank you, Uncle, for saving my daddy. This is my favorite lollipop. It's for you. I hope you'll always be happy and handsome. Come here, let Daddy hold you, my sweet girl." Leo picked up the little girl, his other hand holding Sophia's. The family of 3 walked down the small path. It had just rained, and the air was filled with the smell of damp earth. The mountain path was steep, and he held Sophia's hand tightly. The future was long. They would be just like this, holding each other tightly. Step by step.